Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And I say this at the beginning of many videos right now. We're in exciting times, baby. We're in exciting times in the Doctor Who world. I am quite enthused about these exciting times in the Doctor Who world. So Doctor Who magazine relaunched to glorious fanfare. It's sold out, right? It's sold out. It's selling on eBay now for like £50. I think what they tell me, between £30 and £50 for the issue. It's done very, 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 very well. So what the major parts of this relaunch was the relaunch of the comic strip. Sadly, it's still only 6 pages long. The comic strip is something that I've followed, since I was a kid. I'm still basically a kid since I was young. Okay, let's go with that. I followed it. I know I first started reading it with John Ridgway. This will be around issue, was it, in the early 80s, something like that. Whenever John Ridgway started is when I started reading it, and I was a huge comic book fan. I love 2008. I mean, look around you, okay? This is an indication that I like comic books and I like Doctor Who, right? So I followed it, all the time. I was very what's the word looking for? Disheartened, saddened that they had to stop producing it. Look, basically what happened was this: Jodie Whittaker wasn't very popular as Doctor Who for whatever the reason. I think I've gone over the reasons many times on this channel, but the factual numbers was she wasn't very popular at being Doctor Who, and her time saw a real downturn in popularity and merchandising. Because of that downturn, Doctor Who magazine sold a lot less, and because they sold a lot less, they couldn't afford their most expensive feature, which was a comic strip. Again, absolutely tragic, although I wasn't reading it then because I didn't really like Jodie Whittaker, so I wanted it there, but I didn't want to use it. It's kind of like the nuclear deterrent. I want it there. I didn't want to use it. Same sort of thing. But I was very sad that it went away. Now Jodie Whittaker's time is finished, and oh boy, has that been scrubbed from reality really quickly, right? The Doctor Who magazine has regenerated, and they've regenerated the comic strip in I think a very, very exciting way. What they do, as I'm going to say many times in this video, what they're doing with the comic strip, they got a 30-month story. It'll be, I guess, 6 pages an episode. Although if the sales keep going like this, I can see them upping it back to 8 or 9 again. Wouldn't that be great? Right? Yeah, and they got superstar talent to do it. They have Lee Sullivan and Alan Barnes. Very, very tried and tested talent. Although I have to tell you, Lee Sullivan, not his best work by a long shot. And I do kind of miss Russ Leach. Again, I'd say this repeatedly throughout the video. But they're doing a 13-part story, which essentially takes you from the end of the Power of the Doctor to the beginning of whatever David Tennant 14th Doctor's first special is going to be. Now, in practical terms, what this really means is that in a year from now, when people turn on the TV show, there'll be no reference whatsoever to Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who. Again, if you liked it, God bless you. It just wasn't very popular. It turned people off. It turned people away from Doctor Who. There's going to be no reference to it whatsoever. So this is a bridging story between the two to explain how the TARDIS interior changes and how the sonic screwdriver changes. Because we know Doctor Who fans obsess about these things. And Rusty Davies knows, because he's a Doctor Who fan who obsesses about these things, right? Even though a lot of us would want to see that the entire era retconned out of reality, I have some headcanon about how that happened. I'll explain that. Again, I explain that many times within this video, right? But I think it's very exciting, right? I think it's a really genuinely exciting time, and we're just into it literally straight away. On the first page, we're into a fun, exciting story, which turns out to be with the Daleks, and it's all Rusty Davies' idea, So again, I am somewhat enthused by all this. So I went through over this month's strip on my live stream last night, and they had a lengthy article going over it. I was joined by my good friend Dan Hadley towards the end of it to discuss there within, and that is what you're seeing here in this video. I actually had to edit it down. It took most of my live stream. My live stream was like 2 hours long. It took most of it, right? Because there's so much, so I edited it down to, I don't even know how long it is, like 40 minutes or so. But fascinating stuff. Look, if you are a fan of Doctor Who and a fan of Doctor Who comics, which I am, but fortunately, this is big news. Again, my only real quibble again is Lee Sullivan. Maybe a little bit past his prime, and I feel horrible saying it, but these 6 pages that we saw were not his best. They were just not his best, but generally speaking, I think we're in exciting times. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, comment, all those things are fantastic. Thank you very much. I am very grateful for everybody out there doing those things. Sign up my Substack, my email newsletter, sign up my paid Substack. My email newsletter that you pay for. It doesn't really make it doesn't get more complicated than that. Like, share, subscribe, comment, Substack, all those things are fantastic. As are you, baby. Yeah, I just want to hand over to me from last night. I don't want to say, look at yourself in the mirror, because we don't do this enough, right? We do not do this enough. Look at the mirror and go, you're awesome, baby. You're all, because you are, okay? I don't know why you're awesome. There's many reasons why we all suck, but there's many reasons why we're awesome. Why not, make yourself feel good about yourself for once. It's a good thing. Right, with that weird impromptu message of hope behind us, let me hand over to me from last night. Now, I've prepared it so it's not, I'm not violating copyright. Because there was a guy on Twitter saying, oh, it's not fair, there's a paywall. I'm going to give this away for free to anybody else. So, my one real nidge about this is that the artwork's by Lee Sullivan rather than Russ Leach. Russ Leach has been doing it since it came back about 6-7 months ago. He's very much developed. Look, I'm biased because he's a friend of the channel, right? So and I think his crowdfunding thing, what was it? Only Death Can Save Us. It's fantastic, right? So I really think he should have the job. They clearly wanted some. What was I going to say? Some like A-list artists, right? I mean, like from the art, and the artwork isn't really not his best. I have to tell you, right? He feels like the Jodie stuff feels just out of place, right? In general, it feels out of place, but you do get the character of the Doctor. So again. For my money, this is filling in the blanks for the fans in a way they can ignore it for the normies, right? This is a way they can reboot it when the note comes back. It is just Doctor Who, right? It's just Doctor Who. So I would say a workmanlike page here, right? I think they got the sunrise nicely, right? Born again, right? And then so it's very traditional David dialogue. Now, I blanked out the dialogue because I didn't want to get copyright struck. And also, people pay for writing. I shouldn't rip it off. If I say it, it's okay. All right then, universe, what have you got me today? What's this? Wow, it's so David Tennant, right? It's like Magic Real than David Tennant. Yeah, it's going wow. You see, wow. It's okay. I mean, work, I guess. I used to know how to work these systems like the back of my hand. And he looks at the back of his hand. Only somebody else's hand now. My old hand. And again, it's very chirpy David Tennant, right? It's very traditional chirpy. And here we get, it's so traditional. David Tennant walking around with his hand in pockets, breathing in, smiling, right? That is so David Tennant. Do what? Dematerializing, but I didn't do anything. Warp. Automated Progo Epsilon Delta Who? Well, answering a distress. What's so what's that? The wooing is that's what the wooing was all about. Maybe. And it looks like the TARDIS knows what's going on. But again, let's zoom in here. There's no attempt to show the 14th Doctor is any different at all from the 10th, right? This is so David Tennant. Fair enough. That's what I do. Respond to all calls. Pull to open, right? And again, so archetypally David Tennant, right? Yeah, this is you wouldn't have this is not Troughton, right? This is not Pertwee. This is archetypally David Tennant. What we got? Wembley Stadium smells like Saturday, the 30th of July, the World Cup final. Who's in distress? The Germans. No, who's in distress? The Germans? My mistake. I'm sorry. So it's written by Alan Barnes. Alan Barnes, always reliable, right? Always reliable. All right. Yeah, quite a nice rendition of Wembley. And again, we're right into classic David Tennant. Like, you can't hear Peter Davison saying, straight up, I'm Nobby Styles' cousin. That's me, and Nobby's in the picture. Anyone can see the resemblance. Right? It's again. So he's going all around. You in distress? You in distress? He's looking for who's in distress. Who's in distress then? Come on, Ed. Who's in distress? Doctor Who's in distress, which is why you came back, right, David? We zoom in. Hang about. I can't ask 98,600 people. Gonna have to scan for a signal discreetly. Okay, that's a bit dialogue later, exposition heavy. What can you do, right? What's this? You're right there, fella. Which team unst do? Yeah, daft question. What is this? Extra time? Has Hurst hit the crossbar yet? What? So he's like spoiling away. It's funny, when he did it, it's not annoying. I don't actually remember him doing stuff like that. In fact, he wouldn't. That's a very Jody-ish a thing to do. Elsewhere, down. Again, I got a nice remembrance of the Daleks feel from this, right? Sorry, I forget. Forget anything I said. That will come to all then. Come on, you Reds. Whites, anyone really. Okay, fine. Now. And then, more chirpy David Tennant. But again, is David Tennant weirdly holding Jodie's stuff, right? This is here to remove Jodie, right? So we don't need to see her. And like when the Normans come back, we don't need to see it. Yeah, so he's like, oh, why does this feel like a bit like a dildo? Well, there is a reason. Why is it slippery? Oh, and now don't worry. Maybe you should wash your hands, though. Wash your hands, David. We're buzzing. We've got a hit. 3 rows up. Wait, that's not a distress signal. It's oh, you lot, you're fringing. Okay, so they're supposed to be glowing. They haven't just had Ready Breck. Remember Ready Breck? Just because that ad was so, with a little boy with a red line around, the orange line around him, it's warming, just thinking about it. He's coming over here. He's seen us. Just ignore him. But he's seen us. Okay. The 6-page storytelling is a bit tricky, right? You really just get into the clunky exposition. Word to the wise: if you're going to go around wearing a psychic field, make sure they're properly adjusted. You got the blue fringing look, right? Which is the we don't know what you mean, sir. Just please watch the match, right? Okay, well, clearly they know what she means. Holds up the Sonic. Please get rid of that as soon as bloody possible, okay? Right, we'll do the hard way. And they turn into very generic comic book aliens. Hello. Oh, our chills are gone. Now we're very generic comic book aliens. Again, honestly, I think Russ would have done a better job on this. It was really quite disappointing for Lee Sullivan, I have to tell you. It's not his best work, right? To be fair. Chills, yeah, you're going to stand out around here now. I mean, you're even wearing tie. You're not even wearing ties. Please, you're spoiling everything, says generic comic book alien. And then I guess they made him look a little bit older here, give him a bit more stubble. That's how they're trying to differentiate. Spoiling, come off it. You're time tourists, right? Why is everybody freaking out now? You know what? I mean, he must have made some kind of bubble already. You can see them or something like that. You know what? You know what you came to see. Hurst hits the crossbar. Ball clips the line. Referee says, yes, England 3-2. Kenneth Warholm. People again on the pitch. Hurst again 4-2. Right. Okay, fine. He's going up. He's somehow explaining the game. Okay. Fine. And then we have the reason Lee Sullivan's here, right? You think so? Why no one's watching the game anymore, Mr. Smartiak? Look up, you idiot! And he's like, "What's this? It's a Dalek saucer again." Really undetailed for Lee Sullivan, I have to tell you. I was surprised. Here, do I have some of his work here? 1 second. Right, so this is the Lee Sullivan I knew over here, right? Yeah, this is dramatically better. I mean, look at the action in this pose, right? Compared to this reveal. It's like run. There's a dun dun dun, and it's like run. Like he's very good at he was a good visual storyteller. Right, he was not just gonna. There's drama in these panels, even these quieter panels. Yeah, zoom in. This is a double page. Yeah, this is the Seventh Doctor and Bernice and Dalek Killer, Aslam Dark, meeting the Daleks in Spiridon. Right, and again, there's so much freaking action in this. Right. Over here, oh yeah, look at this great one with Davros on trial. Even that, yeah, you're like, whoa, yeah, here, like, what can I tell you? It's oh, Dr. Axe, I have to talk about you in a second. That reminds me, in a nice way, don't worry. But yeah, so it's a little bit underwhelming, right? It really is. He's like, oh no, everyone get out while you can. The game is over. It's all over. He said, again, it's just, there's so little drama in this, isn't there? It's surprising. And then you get an action bit at the end. Exterminate, exterminate, exterminate. And even that is still, it's kind of at a boring angle, isn't it? Right? Hey! So, all over, well, it is now. Okay. Dalek Invader Earth 1966, right? That's what's coming next. Okay. So again, I can understand why they brought Lee Sullivan in. Because of this sort of stuff, right? That's why they brought him in. Look at that bold brushwork, the line, the inking. It's just really nice. It's really Lee Sullivan, and he's not my favorite. And this is very 90s comics, right? They're like very, there's got a thrash metal soundtrack with it. This is it's just kind of very, very staid now, right? Which is a bit of a shame. But again, I do like that they look, they are trying. They got Alan Barnes and Lee Sullivan. They're not a bad combination. But here they got a nice article about it. Doink. Yeah, there you go. So we're going to read the article about the strip of a lifetime, right? Because again, this is a real important thing they're filling in. It's I want to remind everybody in my head canon, right? The whole Jodie stuff is we're going to find out what that really was when what's name when David really takes over. But in my head canon, it was all took place in kind of a pocket universe. It was a phantom generation. That's why nothing really made sense. That's why there was no continuity. That's why there was weird storytelling that didn't work at all. That explains everything then. And it was there to weaken the Doctor, to imprint this, this faux Doctor on board, right? And any vestiges we have of that is an echo from that parallel that pocket universe. I'm visioning it exactly the same way we're visioning the version New Adventures Sylvester McCoy. Which I think So that way, we're not going to hear from him again, and it's anytime we hear from him again, we'll just go right. Liberation Dalek picks up directly from where Power Dalek left off. What with the Doctor's deadliest enemies returning to DWN for the first time in 20 years. Really, it's interesting. Eddie Robson gets the inside story from Alan Barnes, Russell T. Davis, Scott Hancock, and Lee Sullivan. Scott Hancock is an important person, I think, in Doctor Who, in the Doctor Who world now, right? I think he's more than a script editor. I think he's being. I think Russell liked the work he did with Mido Hodiak. When the Doctor Who magazine comics began in '79, its connection with the television series was fairly loose. Well, that's why we loved it, right? That's essentially why we loved it. It was fairly loose. Since 2005, it featured the same cast of regular characters, and as on the TV. Yeah, but I kind of like that weird, John and Gillian kind of feel to it, right? I did appreciate that. Where are we up to? With stories designed to be slot in between recent episodes, but they never fully tied in with TV continuity before. It never picked up directly from the most recent episodes and formed a narrative bridge to the next one. Yeah, until now, we're doing it with the new Doctor and the story that's going to run for a full year. That's really kind of cool. Safe to say, Liberation of the Daleks is the biggest thing the strip has done in its 43-year history. I agree with you. I do agree with you. The notion of allowing a Doctor Who strip to step in this gap came from showrunner Rusty Davies himself. I bet you it did, right? From day one, I wanted to increase ties between the show and the magazine. I love you, Russell. Okay, look, it might be shit, but I'm so excited. I just love the way he does stuff. Right, it wanted to listen, it's no mystery that there was some acrimony between Doctor Who magazine and production, right? The production never gave them exclusives, and they could have done so easy. They could have helped them so many times, and they didn't. And Doctor Who magazine has been dying. First time, I think, in 8 years, it's sold out. There's a reason for that, and it's a good issue, right? It's a good bloody issue. That's why it should sell out. He tells us the day after Power of the Doctor airs. I love it. We're in sync. We all love DWM. Says Doctor Who script editor Scott Hancock. Yeah, fine. Again, I think he's a mover and shaker now in that world. It's been that's not just a move. I think he's an important artisan in that world. More accurately, right? I mean, I would recommend checking out his Dorian Gray series. I think it was very good. Generally speaking, I've liked his work. Okay. We all love DWM, says Doctor Who script editor Scott Hancock. Yes, it's such an important part of the longevity of Doctor Who. Now, a lot of people are bemoaning the return of the Fitzroy Tavern type of Doctor Who. I look, being somebody who was there, I'm fine with it. Frankly, I like the Doctor Who they made. I like the I like the revival era Doctor Who up until Jodie. Where we're up to. Fundamental part of that. What's it? Longevity, especially when the series is off air, and the comics are its fundamental part of that. Right now, we're in a remarkable 1 year off screen, says Russell. We know that there's a 15th Doctor on the way, so why not use the hell out the wonderful 14th Doctor while we got a chance? Does this sound like he wants them to do 14th Doctor audios as well, or is he just bigging this up? So he can. Which way is he going with it? Maybe he's telling the truth both ways, right? Does Russell go both ways? No, he doesn't. Russell doesn't go both ways. Let's be clear. I'm pretty sure Russell goes one way. Indeed, this is such a unique opportunity. Usually, a new Doctor wouldn't appear in other media until they had a full adventure on TV. That is interesting, right? That is indeed interesting. On TV, but the rules for a new old Doctor are a little different, Russell says. Liberation of Daleks says Liberation of Daleks also helped make a new concept for the 14th Doctor more real.
I know how fandom works. A lot of people will be thinking Dave is not the real Doctor. He's a trick, an illusion, a flashback. But no, he's real. And DWN can help us underline that. So he's not... Do you remember when Nick Briggs became the Doctor in the strip for a while? Right? And then it was revealed to really be the 8th Doctor. Yeah. Are they thinking of something like that? The 14th Doctor really can't afford to waste time when he arrives on TV in November 2023. He can't be too far removed from when the viewers last saw him in October 2022. So even though the 13 episodes, a new strip will be the longest one ever has run, just cover 1 hour. That's interesting. The first hour of this new Doctor's life. That is interesting. So how many pages? There are 78 pages in this story. Okay, fine. So in that hour, he's losing the sonic screwdriver, getting a new one, and changing his TARDIS over, right? That's what's going on. I love that it's 1 hour, right? And it's more, yeah. So again, with the strip being 6 pages long, I think they can even probably, if they keep selling like this, they're going to be able to improve the strip length. I just saw somebody send me. And Dr. X says, by regenerating into a face we had already, to bypass the Jodie Whittaker era, who I wonder where he could have picked up such an ocean idea. Well, you know, great minds think alike, or fools seldom different. Of course, he's referring to Dr. Alex's season 12. Was it season 13? Here we go. I got it right here in front of me. 1 second. Yeah, exactly. Now I am writing a story in season 14, right? Featuring the meddling monk. Matt Bear is the meddling monk. So we have an issue though, right? We've already seen the meddling monk in the Dr. Alex continuity, but it's basically a Father Ted meddling monk, and there's some quite animosity between them when they meet. So I had always imagined the Matt Berry monk to be younger than the Father Ted monk, right? So I think there's a parallel story to be told that will link up my story and the previous one, right? I think I think the Matt Berry monk then would later meet a younger Capaldi, or maybe a Matt Smith or David Tennant, or something would happen, right? Somebody would rub them up the wrong way, causing their regeneration into the Father Ted monk, right? And explain their animosity. So I think maybe would Dr. Alex write the parallel story? Or would we write it together, or would he dump it on me? I don't know. But that would be. I digress. If you're talking about alternative media, yeah. If you want to go for alternative media Doctor Who, I really recommend this. If you want to check it out, go to his channel, and he has them on book on tape, and they're really entertaining as well. I'm telling you, they're really genuinely entertaining, right? And he does so. Season 12. He does like a full 13-part Rusty Davis style season, right, with individual stories, and I especially like the stuff around old Telos. That was the world building there was I found excellent, and then the world building in the second book was even better. It was one continuing story, but it was a good one. That made sense, right? I would like to say as real as a Jodie Doctor. But anyway, talking about ethereal Doctor, let's get back to the strip. Okay. Also makes him more real because he's around more. I do hear that. A meddling rabbi. Where are we up to? The 14th Doctor can't afford to waste time. It's got 1 hour. I like this idea a lot. It's very Rusty Davis, very out the box, right? This is also part of Russell's original concept. But as he tells us now, that just shows us that this whole new world of Doctor Who is still a work in progress. Okay. Because the notion related of 2 lines of dialogue in the special 3, which have since been cut. So it's no longer strictly applicable. A firefight it's announced apocrypha already. And it'll all become clear next November. I'm looking forward to finding out, Russell, right? I'm looking forward to finding out. Oh, Brigadier's going to be in it? That's going to be cool. Brigadier. And there's a siren. No, that's these are old ones, right? Yeah, that looks like Alan Barnes, Martin Garrett. Oh, look, they're referencing this, right? This is the time when they falsely regenerated the Doctor. Well, they didn't they falsely regenerated the Doctor into Nick Briggs. It was really rather good, but it was all a con. Anyway, we digress. Both writer and artist on Liberation of the Daleks are highly popular contributors to DWM. Alan Barnes folks for the 8th Doctor strip Endgame and the shock regeneration in the final chapter. That was really good in 98, right? He hasn't written the main strip for since the 10th Doctor 3-part of the Warkeeper's Crown in 2007. He's a solid writer, right? Absolutely solid. He always on any medium, I think he's always delivered. You know, I really should get in contact with him. So we'll come for an interview. Also, the former DWM editor, he has recently rejoined the editorial team. Current DWM editor Marcus Hearn outlined Russell's idea during one of Panini's weekly meetings. I think I said, blimey, recalls Alan, obviously. Everything at this point was super confidential. So Marcus asked me to come up with a loose idea, basically a pitch. Something to start the conversation. Really, initially I thought, whatever. But I do like the reference to this. Like they're saying, it's not this. Or maybe they're saying, it is this. I don't know. Right? I don't know. Here, how do they explain it over here? One sec. Let's see what they... Well, right, the 8th Doctor regenerates into a new body based on Nick Briggs in part 4 of the final chapter from Doctor Issue 265, pencils Martin Garrity, inks Robin Smith. Yeah, but later it was turned out that wasn't real, right? And then below left, from the Warkeeper's Crown. Okay, fine. No. Opposite page, we have Alan Barnes and Lee Sullivan. Maybe I should really reach out to them here. I'll reach out to them and see if they'll come on. Never know. Well, what's the Canon? Say that, I'll say no. Right? Above and left, scenes from the animated The Infinite Adventure Quest, the 10th Doctor and Martha's descend into prison, and the Doctor flies a robot squawk. I don't remember this at all. I really got to check this out again. Don't remember this. I remember not being like that, so enamored with it, right? Doctor himself braces for his oldest enemies in part 1 of Fire and Brimstone from Doctor Who magazine, script Alan Barnes, right? Yeah. Again, Alan Barnes delivers goods, right? I've rarely seen him do something that I thought wasn't very good. Something came out. Certainly not Russell Davis. He came out a while ago. I thought initially whatever came out, that will be given as a brief to another writer. But it was such a thrilling proposition that I got a bit carried away and came up with several pages of lunatic ideas in a weekend, putting myself into frame without really meaning to. Well, listen, I'm glad you did, mate. I'm glad you did. At this stage, I had no idea who the new Doctor was going to be. That's it. Really? That's very interesting. So this idea originated before Tennant. That is very interesting. Okay. It's been I should really just do a wrap up of all these news snippets, these newsoids, right? It's been strange because we started work on it before anybody saw Power of the Doctor. Well, we knew what was going to happen in the end. We had to be very careful with our security. Only a few key people were briefed. You had one panel about it, right? Were briefed about who the next Doctor would be. So a lot of our steers were to ensure that we don't forget an unusual event. What an unusual event this is for the Doctor, even though he was instantly dragged into a brand new adventure on Earth. I mean, you could have easily just hidden it by saying you're going to do a David Tennant adventure in the interim, right? You could have easily hidden it. Russell was selected to have Adam writing the strip, praising his work on Infinite Crest, the animated segment. The animated series that ran as a segment on Totally Doctor Who. I've got to check that out. I don't remember it at all. Indeed, Alan draws a parallel between writing that and writing the Liberation of Daleks. On Infinite Quest, so I had to tell a complete story in 13 roughly 3-minute chunks. Okay. And so no one got bored. So I could look at the same thing every week. The story had to keep moving and developing and changing with massive game changer cliffhangers. Okay. Yeah, bums on seats, baby. That's an important thing. In many ways, it was the opposite of the traditional Doctor Who story, where the challenges were to create something interesting, despite only having 6 characters, 3 sets, and 2 days of filming in Didcot and Drizzle. With Infinite Quest, we had Quest. And again, with Liberation of Dalek, we had the challenge of creating something dramatic here and properly involving, despite the cast of thousands and the biggest vistas imaginable. A nice problem for a Doctor Who writer to have, but still requires a lot of thought. I'm glad they had somebody very experienced, right? And Doctor Who magazine was not doing well, right? I mean, it was not doing well. I mean, let's be fair, right? Let's be fair. Happily, it suits how Alan likes to write and how he wrote the DWM script during his previous stint. Back then, the idea was to be big and epic and to get people talking about the strip. Yeah, no, I like that he instituted the idea of having splash page cliffhangers. Really important, right? Really important, I think. Back then we had the idea we wanted to make it big and epic and people talking about the strip. Yeah, because there was no Doctor Who at the time. In a good way, hopefully. I'm a generation that grew up with the old school 2000 AD, 6-page, super concentrated weekly bursts of scrotning in your face, throwback with splash paddles and massive balloons with exclamation marks. Yeah, I agree. All this stuff is good. Doctor Who is a show that can push itself to the limits, says Scott. So it's so ambitious, and we wanted to reflect that in the comic strip. That's why we wanted Alan Barnes. Okay, we get Barnes. We want it. You want it big. You want Barnes, baby. Get Barnes. What's this then? 4-dimensional vistas. That's not 4-dimensional vistas. That was okay. That was a. Who was that? Chuck Austin did the artwork of that. Bloody hell! Look at that off the top of my bloody head. Chuck Austin did the work on 4-dimensional vistas. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was also a time meddler and an Ice Warrior story, I believe. Where do you leg it? Oh God, Izzy was kind of excruciating, as I recall. Does Russell T Davies think the Doctor Who strip is better when it's more closely connected to the TV series? I hope it's not too didactic, he says, because I think the strip can take on all sorts of shapes and they work very well. I loved it back in '92 when the characters of the New Adventure novel suddenly appeared in the strip. That was fun. Yeah, well, we like that universe, right? The strip started in the 1960s with Canon, John and Gillian, who were never on screen. I remember when we came back to 2005 in DWM editorial meeting, we were delighted to welcome Rose, but understandably sad they had to lose their own creation, Izzy. I was sad too. I love Izzy, beautiful, beautiful queer Izzy. Yeah, she was totally, ahead of the curve. And I had to hope unique creations like that can exist again. So we'll find a way. So all forms are possible. I think. See, that's what I think it means. So people, the way people react to what people say really, I think, says more about themselves than what the people actually said. Right? A lot of people are very hurt. A lot of people are very wounded by Doctor Who, and they really genuinely are. They properly are, and it's very, very hard to be vulnerable, right? When you've been hurt. And again, people have been properly. I was hurt. We were all hurt by Doctor Who, right? Broke our hearts in many ways, right? But I'm call me a big softy. I'm a basically optimistic person, right? So I don't mind people. So I'm essentially optimistic. So that's why I'm optimistic, essentially, like that, because that's my essential self, I think. right? Beautiful queries. So yeah, will it be woke? It's going to be as woke as 2005 was Star Wars, which was woke, right? I think Doctor Who's spin-off media has always interacted with the TV show in fascinating ways, he continues. Take John and Gillian. They arrived in the comic about a month or so before Susan left on TV in Dalek Invader. So maybe slightly the comic strip prepared the way in the eyes of the children for companions to change forever. There's a lovely comic strip, by the way. It was a Paul McGann one where he did a John and Gillian type adventure, right? It's lovely. It was really, really lovely. And then he woke up, and then it was a dream he was having in the TARDIS. It was, but it really worked very well. Where we're up to. So maybe slightly comic strip prepared the way for the children's life for companions to change before that ever happened on TV. Just like Peter Cushing movies introduced the notion that other actors could play the Doctor before William Hartnell regenerated. So these things resonate. They put potent. Let them interact and see what happens. That's why I'm a big believer in going with what actually works, right? And I don't mind there being more Sasha to one master, quite frankly. I think that works really well. I think that's what they're doing with the DCU, right? They're focusing on what worked. Henry Cavill worked. I'm really glad he did work, right? And he's an asset, even though he goes against what he's what DC did, what was doing. It's a real 180. That's a panel. It's Lee Sullivan panel from one of the anniversaries. So I come up reading Doctor Who with John Ridgway on the art, and that for me is always the ultimate Doctor Who art. John Ridgway, right? I think he always, I don't think anything ever topped that for me, right? And so I always found Lee Sullivan stuff too cartoony for me, but at least had a bit of charm. In fact, honestly, I found the art he did for them surprisingly charmless, right? Which is not like him at all, right? It's strange, right? I'm still kind of processing it. This new adventure has to be massive, doing things we might struggle to do on screen. So that's the beauty of comics. Yeah, I agree. That's absolutely true. It also has to sustain itself across a year, and that's where Alan's. That's where Alan's so wide. He absolutely gets the Doctor Who cliffhanger. Yes, he does. Right, and this new comic strip, some crackers come out. That's good news. And I'll say this about Flux. That had good cliffhangers. Doctor turning into a weeping angel. That was a good cliffhanger. Right, didn't resolve them well, but it had good cliffhangers. God bless him. God bless him, and all we settle with him. Fine. Second, fine. So, this is Lee Sullivan again. The roughs look so good. Look, these roughs look really kind of nice. But I don't know what happened. I know there's kind of good angles on that. That works. All right. Lee Sullivan made an immediate impact with his first comic strip, Planet of the Dead. Yes, he did. 1988. It made a big impact, and it defined that era. Right? The strip was looking for an identity in the wake of John Ridgway, right? And he really gave them one. I mean, we had like good art going on before, right? It's Arthur Ransom was particularly good, I think, right? But it wasn't dynamic and exciting, right? That's where Lee Sullivan was really the best, right? Lee Sullivan was very good at with dynamism. So Planet of the Dead, and he also his likenesses weren't bad as well. In which the Seventh Doctors met shapeshifters who took the form of his previous 6 incarnations. Lee established himself as a Dalek specialist, a skill hinted at by a superb artwork in Marvel's UK Transformers comic. I haven't seen it. Indeed, the Daleks last appeared in Children of Revolution 2000. I can't believe it's so long ago when he drew it. It blows my mind. Children of Revolution was a great strip as well. So, so this was the last thing he did. Yeah, Lee Sullivan on the art, right? So again, it's very like dramatic 90s art, right? But there you go. But again, this stuff is so much more dynamic than the strip in TWM. So disappointing, right? Look at the coloring of this. It's like exciting. Nothing like that happened. Listen, I appreciate they got him in because it was A-list, but like I don't know. It should have worked, but didn't. Right? That's where I am with it right now. 1 second. Stop screen. There you go. Fine. What we will return to that article momentarily, but I think we need another comic-minded mind to help understand this strange state of affairs we're in, and help go through this article with me. It is, of course, a regal mind, a mind that reaches above and beyond that of mortal kin. Although I'm halfway through the first episode of this season of The Crown, and they seem to be. Listen, he may be a dick, Charles, but they're really heavily trashing him so far. So I think this is bringing the general love of royalty down somewhat. But to raise it up again, to raise our love of the regal, mighty institution that is royalty. I have such a person today, a jewel in the crown of the regal institution. It is, of course, Birmingham's own King of the Geeks. We're talking Dan Hadley from the Space. How are you, Dan?
A jewel in the crown.
Russell was keen to have the Daleks facing the 14th Doctor in his first adventure, and there was no doubt in his mind who should draw it. Come on, if it's Daleks, it's Lee, says Russell. Yes, look, that's the normal response, right? And I love that Russell T. Davis knows that, right? He does. If it's Daleks, it is Lee Sullivan. I do hear that.
He's one of the few artists that can put sometimes dozens of them onto a splash page and have it look like the most natural thing. Doesn't look cluttered. He's a really nice artist, Lee Sullivan is. Economical, I think.
But anyway, as I said, sadly, he doesn't live up to it in this strip, but never mind. Maybe it'll come together. Anyway, so fine. It was an absolute privilege. What a privilege. I was very happy to be invited by Marcus to return to the Doctor. Doctor Who magazine, Lee says. And the timing was right for me. So for once, everything fits together nicely. It's as it is an enjoyable, as it is an assault fight. Drawing Daleks, I wouldn't say is a pleasure, but it's very interesting. Well, he acts like it's a pleasure, right?
Yeah.
They have a very particular set of angles that can change from being round to a round in a cross section at a top, and then mutate appropriately into a much more angular beast. And by the time, fine, yes, okay, they're very geometric, right? Giving Lee and Alan necessary reference material while keeping it tight-lidded on the security. Yeah, I don't understand why they have to keep it tight-lidded. They could just say they're doing a Doctor strip, right? A 10th Doctor strip. By the way, that's the other takeaway. There is no difference between the 14th Doctor and the 10th Doctor. Right, they are exactly the same. Right,
this is another thing that's confused. There are people out there who are convinced they're going to have different personalities. I don't know where they would have picked that up from, what they would have thought, why Russell would do that, why Tennant would be interested in doing that.
I can see why Tennant would want to do that. Right, I can see why he would want to give a different performance. That I can totally see. But this is here for a very special reason. Clearly, this is a dream come true. Like he apparently had the idea. He started talking about this in Doctor Who magazine as well. The before shooting, right? He was doing the watch along of Runaway Bride, and Catherine Tate said she wanted to do more. So he said, "Well, I have it," and so did David. So he just said, "I have an obligation, I guess, to tell Piers Wenger." That was before the whole shooting thing started. So all snowballed from there.
Bloody hell. Yeah, just Jodie Who? Jodie Who?
Well, yeah, it's look, reading between the lines of it, he clearly saw how badly Doctor Who was doing, right? I mean, everybody did. In the industry, everybody knows how badly it went down. It's only people outside it don't. Here, let me finish this article. It's nearly done. Giving Lee and Ali necessary reference material has been a tricky balance. I'll give Alan notes to try and keep his voice consistent. This is Scott Hancock, who's a bit of a mover and shaker. I would say.
The new script editor.
Yeah. But I think they're leaning on him quite a lot, especially in fan relations, right? I'll give Alan Oates to keep his voice consistent, but with what's in our scripts, says Scott. But then there are other details like which sonic screwdriver the Doctor is using and what's the TARDIS interior currently look like. There's a lot of meticulous juggling going. Yeah, that's the whole point of this, to change those things. To give away as little as can, but by making certain everybody has all they need. Right? It's good to be involved with something that has the blessing of the production team, says Lee. Yeah, and it certainly does. Here, look at this. So the first panel was missing, right? Just seemed to be added, and then they put it in later.
Gradually put it together.
Right. Where are we up to? Doesn't feel. It does feel like a continuation. Indeed, it is a continuation of the story, TV storyline. I hope it's seen as such by readers. Mostly, I hope that I manage to do the story justice and don't disappoint after 20 years absence. You do a bit, mate. You do a bit, but God bless you. As you have already seen, Liberation of Daleks hits the ground running with the Doctor described by Alan as born again, full of life and love. I originally imagined him as we'll be taking, we'll be talking much more about the regeneration itself. But the fear I got was back from school was no, forget that, run away. No, start anew, right? You want to sell things? Yeah, forget it. No, that's the only reference. No, just go straight into the adventure. No messing about. Rez, we noticed. And with that writing, that main done, I got back with bigger, more Daleks. As the story involves bigger, madder, even more Daleks. Russell agrees. The strip is truly epic. Wait till you see what's coming up. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.